Thank you, everyone. Happy Mother's Day again. Okay, so before I get started, even though Reverend Maureen and Robert aren't here, I have to begin by asking or sharing a child's answer to the question of why did God make mothers? And the kid answered, because they know where the Scotch tape is. That's kind of true. Especially last night as I was taping up a little jigsaw puzzle box. I'm like, yeah. Okay, here's one other joke, which I didn't think was that funny. But
that's funny.
Ever heard of a job that requires no experience, gives no training, pays nothing, and you can't quit? That's motherhood. Oh, and people's lives are on the line too. But anyway, every day should be welcomed in the same kind of happiness that we feel on Mother's Day. And today is a day when we can actually stop for a moment and acknowledge those who gave us the gift of physical life. So let's do that. Let's just take a moment. I just want to begin by asking each of you to close your eyes, if you choose to. And just think of that person who gave birth to you. Picture her in your mind. Let that picture of her come right into your mind. And then picture yourself saying thank you. Just thank you, no matter what else. Thank you for my life. Whether she's here with you today or lives far away or has already made her transition to the next life, it doesn't matter. It's just an opportunity for each of us to send out an emotional wave of gratitude. So thank you, everyone. And if you want to open your eyes, I thought of maybe doing that because so often we think about, oh, I ought to send a card or I ought to do flowers, or I don't know, or they're not here anymore, I can't do anything. And I was thinking about how in Christianity, which whatever you think about the Pope or anything, Christianity is based to a great degree on the idea that Jesus taught us to love one another. And one of the pictures that we often see, not here, but you have seen, is the picture of the Madonna and Child. And I was thinking about how it's almost like a letter 8. You see the mother above, the child below, and it's almost creating what you would think of as that infinity circle or symbol of the circulation of love between the parent and the child. That is kind of ongoing. One gives, one receives, and then you have the feeling of gratitude going back. And it's kind of a two-way street or an infinite wave. So I thought of that, and then I also thought of the fact that Mother's Day and also Father's Day are a little different than most holidays. I mean, they're not just generic holidays. They're personal holidays. And I think for everyone, they always trigger particular memories of our childhood or of our own parenting successes and shortcomings. You know, sometimes they bring thoughts of great joy and happiness, and then sometimes they might also bring up, you know, a sense of longing, or wondering about what might have been. You know, I call it like, they can bring up a case of the if-onlys. You know, when I think of my mother, sometimes I think about, oh, if only. Well, that doesn't happen that much on other holidays. I mean, unless you got that holiday tied into something specific, like something happened on Christmas or something happened on the 4th of July. They're just kind of like happy, generic holidays that we can all enjoy. But Mother's Day is very personal. Some of us are mothers, and some of us might have wished to be mothers, but it didn't work out, and some of us are happy we're not mothers, especially perhaps the men in the group. You know, not everyone wanted to be a mother, but everyone had a biological mother as well as a father. And that's just how this miracle of life works. And I know that even right within this room, we had a tremendously wide range of experiences as children. Some of us had very happy childhoods, and some of us had not so happy childhoods. But now we're here together, we made it, and we get to sort it all out, right? We get to find ways, if necessary, to shift from a sense of longing for the good old days, or longing for whatever we think we might have missed out on in the good old days. We can shift from a sense of longing into a sense of belonging. From a sense of desiring something that seems unattainable to a sense of feeling happiness and satisfaction, which just requires noticing and paying attention to what we have right now in this life. And when we notice and see the good, we can allow a sense of gratitude to well up in our hearts and replace the sense of longing, which is really a sense of not enough, with a sense of belonging. Realizing it's not just that we have enough, it's that we ourselves are enough. And when we begin to know that about ourselves, we can begin to know that about others also. And isn't that what mothers know? That the kids are okay, that the kids deserve to be taken care of. And we were all kids, right? And there are kids amongst us too, in our lives. And while at the same time we need to recognize that every family wasn't a fairy tale come true, you know, some of us experience being cared for in the highest ways, with warmth and love, and even sacrifice from our mothers. And others of us came from families that were struggling. My own mother was very young. She was a traumatized widow who lived with her parents, who worked full-time, who went to night school, and raised me to the best of her ability, and thank goodness for the extended family that pitched in. That's like part of my gratitude on Mother's Day. You think about my aunt and my uncles and my grandmothers, it was, you know, a lot of hands that helped out. But my mother was doing her best, and isn't that really true about all of us all the time? That we're always doing the best we can. Oh, my husband's family was much more traditional. You know, he had a father who worked very long hours, and a mother who took care of the children in the home, and provided most of the nurturing that their 7 children needed. But somehow, despite our very different backgrounds, my husband and I managed to figure out how to be parents Although, of course, we make plenty of mistakes along the way. If you're a parent, you just know that happens. But at the same time that you might look back, really whether you're a parent or not, and see that we ourselves made mistakes, or maybe see that our mothers or guardians made mistakes. It's also true in a way that, we can be grateful that the people, the mothers or the people who are standing in their place, were making an effort. I know it's true because here we are. We all survived. We all made it into this room this morning. So, who took care of you as a child? Did they do a great job, or do you sometimes just stop and wonder, like, what was Mom thinking? I remember once I got to be an adult and my own kids were grown, I would ask my mom once in a while, like, why did you ever let me do this or that? And she'd be like, I couldn't stop you. But it's a lot of things that you might have done if you are a parent or, a caregiver of any type. It's interesting that you might think that you're making changes or doing things on purpose, but in reality, a lot of the things that we do are just kind of automatic. Many things. Our reactions, our decisions are based on things that we absorbed. They were absorbed into our consciousness as we were growing up during our own upbringing. And actually, a lot of those ideas were very good. And a lot of those ideas did serve us very well and have been serving humanity very well for generations upon generations. Because the truth about mothers and those who act as mothers is that they are trying to help their children, and often lots of other people too grow and flourish. And that urge that we all have, that desire to care for and nourish others, is what really matters. More than the specifics of, did they do a perfect job or not. It's, did they try to love you? I remember I had a friend, and this is when I'm an adoptive mother, so I might say I was a little jealous of her because, she and her husband had one baby, and then they had another baby, and then they had another baby. I'm like, oh, maybe there's a problem. But it surprised me so much what she said, because she shared that when she brought her babies home from the hospital, she felt nothing. She had to really work, and she did. She really worked to attach, to try, and of course she succeeded. But everything isn't always automatic in life, We watch TV shows or movies or read storybooks and we get this idea. But life is a lot of work. And we make decisions about what we want, and then those decisions unfold in the way that they unfold. The thing is, it doesn't really matter so much whether a child is raised in a tiny apartment or a mansion, as long as they know that they belong. It's the little moments that count. It's not the stuff that accumulates. And I'm mentioning that because I actually laughed when I read that our president said, don't worry about the economy because children can get by with $3 instead of 30. The reason why I always laughed was, at least when I was growing up, I never knew anyone that had $30. I was like, okay. Maybe now, I don't know. They're cheaper today, I don't know. I guess paper dolls, right? We had paper dolls, a lot of paper dolls. But, but he was correct that it's not the amount of toys that defines the happiness of a child. What matters is the feeling the feeling that's transmitted to a child that you are loved, that you are cared for, or that at least they're trying to do their best. The idea that you matter. And you do. You matter, you always have, and you always will. And so, anyway, when I was thinking about what to say today, I remembered that game, which some of you at least probably played, called Mother May I? I don't know, maybe a few of you played it, maybe in a backyard or at a park. So in this game, one person gets to play mother. And the other children are kind of the contestants. It's like a race, only it's kind of slow. So everyone who is playing lines up in a row facing mother, and they take turns. They have to raise their hand, and they have to take turns asking permission to move forward. They have to say something like, "Mother, may I take 5 steps forward?" And then mother might say, "Yes, you may," or, because it's more fun this way if you're a kid and you're playing mother, to say, "No, you may not. You can take 2 steps backwards." Or you might say, "No, you may not, but you can hop 3 times." So mother is actually doing something, and I think it's interesting because it kind of fits in with our archetype of a mother. Mother is trying to make the contest fair for everyone. So it's kind of good. It's a game that a 5-year-old can play along with a 7-year-old and a 10-year-old. They can all play together because mother tries to keep the line coming closer in an even way so that everybody gets to make the most of their turn and has a chance to become the winner, even if their legs are short and they can't run fast. Because mother evens it out in fun and silly ways. I think it's kind of sweet that a game developed like that, you know, using this archetype of mother. And I don't know, I guess it just evolved. I have no idea where it came from. But it's nice that the kid or person playing mother gets to do it, behaving in an even-handed and kind way, and in a silly way, you know, in a fun way. Now, you probably have heard, I bet most of you have heard of Hildegard of Bingen, the mystic Benedictine abbess who lived almost a century ago. She was a visionary, and she kept journals. She also was a healer and a scientist and a musician and a composer. But I wanted to read a few excerpts from some of her journals that she kept about her visions. Now, she often used the term, I think you pronounce it Veriditas, which we could say translates to the idea of greening. So the idea that nature is always bringing about this life, this greening of the world. And she used that term to describe or symbolize also the spiritual life force as well as the physical health and abundance that we find in life. She wrote, "Light is the mother of life. Where there is no light, there can be no life." And she said, "Just as God is truly our Father, so is God truly our mother. God is the true Father and Mother of nature. God feels great delight to be our mother. Inside, you have got heaven and earth and all of creation. You are a world. Everything is hidden in you. And also she wrote this: I am the one whose praise echoes on high. I adorn all the earth. I am the breeze that nurtures all things green. I encourage blossoms to flourish with ripening fruits. I am led by the Spirit to the purest streams. I am the rain coming from the dew that causes the grasses to laugh with the joy of life. I call forth tears, the aroma of holy work. I am the yearning for good. She often drew these parallels between the visible world and the invisible world to describe this urge of life to grow and flourish. And really, isn't a mother a lot like a gardener, quietly or sometimes noisily, tending to a family and a community with love? I also want to share something by Mother Teresa. She said that everyone should spread love wherever you go. First of all, in your own house, give love to your children, your wife, your husband, to a next door neighbor. Let no one ever come to you without leaving better and happier. Be the living expression of God's kindness, with kindness in your face, kindness in your eyes, kindness in your smile, and kindness in your warm greeting. And in closing, I want to share something that was written by Divine Science Minister Maria Barrero that I thought was just perfect for this day. So she began by defining motherhood as the nourishing element of divine mind, or God, in which spiritual ideas are brought into fruition. She wrote, there is no individual out here in the world who can provide a nourishing environment for the care of children and others unless it comes from God or divine mind. It is God's love that inspires individuals to provide the support and the good works for the growth and development of our children and others. We celebrate the genuine caring, understanding, and joy that mothers give in helping and supporting others. It is God's love, grace, and blessings which are poured through mothers to touch the hearts and souls of all whom they meet and all whom they care for. Spiritually, anyone who lives by God's truth and principle is serving all people, recognizing the divinity in all. So today, let us celebrate the divine mother of love that lives within each of us. As we are guided by divine spirit, we gladly accept being an instrument of the expression of divine love. And so it is.
Yes, so it is.